Hello everyone, I hope you're having a great day today. Merciless Vaughn here, back with another Bleach Brave Souls video, and in this one we're going to be going over the November Limit Breaker quest. Hopefully you enjoy. If you do, leave a like. If you are new to the channel or you have been here for a while, please consider subscribing and help me get to 500 subscribers. Now with all that said, let us go ahead and get started. So first things first, this limit breaker quest will be available the 1st all the way until the 17th. So you have a week and a few days to get it done. So the sooner you get it done, the better. So you don't have to worry about it. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and take a look at the stage rules here. We have technique, attribute damage times 2, range attack damage times 2, killer effect times 4, and paralysis. And we have speed, soul reaper enemies. Alright, so for the next stage rules, we have speed attribute damage times 2, range attack damage times 2, killer effect times 4, and the burn status summit. And we have power ranker enemies here. And for the last stage, we just have killer effect times 3, weakness status element, and heart Quincy units. Alright, so let's just go ahead and take a look at some characters that you can use for this limit breaker quest. Alright, so for the first stages, probably the best in slot unit will be this Gazelle here. She has the Soul Reaper Killer Plus skill. She's a technique unit, obviously. Strong Soul Trait, strong attack, recharge time minus 14%. She has a range unit, so you will get the bonus range damage. And she does have an EX move, and she also has a revive on her Soul Bomb, and she has the new Dominate status element. She is immune to the paralysis element, so yeah, she pretty much guarantees fills all of the conditions here for these first slots. Her Berserker is 60%. She has Frenzy plus 2, Bombardment, weaken defense, so her Soul Bomb will be hitting pretty hard. The status element Spiritual Pressure boost, damage to her status element 100%. And she also does have the team/party increased technique character damage to enemies affected by an element 30%. And she does have an increased status element chance against Soul Reapers. So yeah, she probably is going to be the best in slot unit. So if you summon on the end of month banner, then you pull this unit, you really won't have to worry about those slot 1 stages in the limit breaker quest. And so up next we have the Future Society, or Hime here. Her soul trait is damage taken minus 21%. She is a ranged unit with a boost on her SA2, so you will get the bonus range damage, which will be very helpful. She also does have a chance to dodge Soul Reaper hits, which will definitely be helpful. Her Bruiser is at 60%. She also is immune to the paralysis status element, so you don't have to worry about that. She's mainly a guild quest unit, so most of these skills here you won't be getting, but just having the booster and enhancer skill on her SA2 will just make her a pretty good support unit for like the other units in the limit breaker quest. But besides that, yeah, I think she will be pretty good. Plus, she's a ranged NAD unit. Those are rare nowadays, and she's pretty good. So if you don't have the other unit and you have this Orihime, you can use her. Alright, up next we have the 1000-Year Blood Warrior Ichibei. His soul trait is the strong attack recharge time minus 12%. He's a melee unit with weakening on all of his status effects, so you won't get the bonus range damage, unfortunately. He does have the gauge effect, which gives him 100% Berserker and Frenzy plus 1. He is immune to the paralysis status element, so you won't have to worry about that. He will start the limit breaker quest with 70% of his gauge already filled, and when activated, he gets Spiritual Pressure boost 50% and reduce strong attack cooldown 30%. And see, he has a 50% Berserker. He has the Gauge Rampage skill, which will just help you get your gauge back faster depending on the amount of enemies you defeat. Frenzy plus 1, Bombardment, weaken defense, and Marauder. So while his gauge is up, he will have Frenzy plus 2, which, you know, isn't too bad. That's pretty much kind of the norm nowadays. But yeah, pretty good unit. He's immune to the status element, but, you know, he's not ranged. So you're only really missing out on that extra range damage. Alright, another unit you can use is this Safui Toshiro here. He has the soul trait strong attack recharge time minus 12%. Melee unit, frost on all of his attacks, so you really won't get the bonus range damage. His gauge effect will give him 100% Berserker and decrease damage taken minus 50%. His innate skills, Sprinter plus 2, full stamina only, increase strong attack damage 40%, and he also has full stamina damage boost 20%. And with his gauge effect, when he gets it activated, he gets 30% strong attack reduction and a 30% heal, which is, you know, pretty good. Berserker is at 40%. He has the share complete status immunity, so you won't have to worry about the status element on the ground. Frenzy is only at +1, unfortunately. Bombardment +1. Marauder and the status element spiritual pressure boost 80%. Yeah, overall, the first stage characters are pretty good. Just have a couple that's going to be missing out on the range damage, but other than that, yeah. If you've been summoning on some of these banners and you have these units, I think you'll be just fine in those first stages. Alright, so for the second slot stages, we have the Zombie Bombietta here with the Ranker Killer Plus skill. That will be very helpful. She does have 2 soul traits. Soul trait, the first one, strong attack recharge time minus 12%, and the other one, damage lacerated enemies 30%. Ranged unit, lacerate and burn on all of her attacks. She is immune to the fire status element, so yeah, she's pretty much going to be the best in slot 1 here. You'll get that range damage. She has the Killer Plus skill, and she's immune to fire. Her devastation is 50%. She doesn't have a berserker, though. I didn't realize that when I was going over this unit. But she's mostly a Guild Quest unit here, but outside of Guild Quest, she does have Frenzy +2, and she does have the increased status element chance against our rankers. That, compared with her damage to her status elements and weakened defense, boy sharpshooter, yeah, she'll still be very, very good. The damage to lacerated enemies is 70%, and the damage to burning enemies is 40%. It says 100 here because it's also counting the one in her soul trait here, so that's why it's 100% right here. Other than that, yeah, the Zombie Bombietta will be very, very good. Probably the best in slot 1 for sure. Another unit you can use is the 7th Anniversary Uryu here. His soul trait is the strong attack recharge time minus 12%. He's a melee unit with weakening and drain on his attacks, so you won't get that bonus range damage, unfortunately. He does have a debuff on his soul bomb that could help for those like extremely tanky enemies in those stages. His gauge effect will give him 100% berserker and decrease damage taken 50%. Sprinter +2 long stride team / party stamina recovery that will help, you know, heal your party up if you just so happen to take some hits so you can get that full stam back. Strong attack recharge 30% when he activates his gauge. Let's see here, 20% berserker, pretty low. Devastation 40%, havoc 20%, frenzy +2, increased status element chance against power attribute enemies. And he'll also have the increased speed attribute character strong attack damage 20%, but that will only really be helpful for himself. And he has guard break plus hit enemies. Pretty old unit, but still be very, very helpful. Yeah, I mean, him having the gauge effect will definitely help out this unit, and him having frenzy +2 will definitely be great as well. You're just kind of missing out on the range damage, and you will have to watch out for that status element on the ground. He's not immune to anything. Alright, so here we have a very old unit, the Safui Azashiro here. Soul trait is the strong attack recharge time minus 12%. Range unit, drain on all of his attacks, but his soul bomb also has the burn status element, which is pretty good. He's immune to all status elements, so you don't have to worry about the one that's on the ground, and he has a 50% chance to dodge ranker attacks, which will be very good. 40% berserker, havoc 20%, frenzy and bombardment are at +1, sprinter +1, guard break, counterattack, which probably won't be too helpful since this scales off of attack and not SP. Any status element spiritual pressure boost. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Unfortunately for the second slot stages, not really too many decent options, unfortunately. Alright, so for the slot 3 stages, one unit you can use is Swimsuit Meninas here. Her soul trait is the super hard link slot potions +5, that won't matter there. She's a ranged unit with a heal and barrier on her SA2. Melee or ranged units, there's no bonus, you know, just damage type in the last stage. Let's see here, she does have the guard break pierce iron skin skill. She has a 50% berserker. She does have the share complete status immunity. She does have the reduced strong attack cooldown 12%. Frenzy +2, damage to enemies not affected by the element 100%. That'll be very helpful since she doesn't have any status elements. Multi-barrier +2 and medic. Yeah, she will be a pretty good support unit that you can use if you have like maybe the best in slot characters for like the first and second slot stages. Yeah, she'll be great for support with her heal and her barrier as well. And she'll output some good damage as well. You also have this 1000-year blood warrior Ishin here, whose soul trait is the status element spiritual pressure boost plus 40%. Melee unit, lacerate and burn on his attacks. He is immune to the weakened status element, and if I'm not mistaken, that is the status element there. I can't remember, pretty bad memory, but that is there for that. 50% Berserker, 60% Devastation, reduce strong attack cooldown 12%. He does have the Rampage skill, and he does have Frenzy +2. Increased status element chance against hard attribute enemies. Weakened defense, poise, marauder, and the status element spiritual pressure boosts 120%. It's 120% because the one he has built in his kit is 80%. And then that extra 40 is coming from his soul trait there, so that's being added on. So if you have this Thousand Year Blood War Ishin, he will be very, very helpful for those stages there. Alright, so you have this seasonal Grimjo here that could help you out. His soul trait is strong attack damage plus 35%. Melee unit, drain on all of his attacks. Guard break, devastation 40%. Strong attack cooldown 12%. Frenzy is only at +1, unfortunately. Increased status element chance against hard attribute enemies. Increased damage to status of affected enemies 40%. Damage to drained enemies 40%. And a status element spiritual pressure boost. Yeah, definitely a usable unit that you can use for this stage if you don't have the previous units mentioned. Alright, so you also have the Balgo and Otsuchi here. Yeah, strong attack, recharge time, minus 12% here. Let's see, his Berserker is 40%. Yeah, his Frenzy and Bombardment are at +1, Defibrillator 5 seconds. Increased status element chance against hard attribute enemies, and the status element spiritual pressure boost 80%. Yeah, he'll definitely be usable. You obviously won't be needing these extra resource drop skills, but you know, just having the status element spiritual pressure boost and this increased status chance will definitely help you out with some damage for sure. And last but not least, we have a pretty old unit here. This Premium Lisa. Her soul trait is the strongest attack recharge time minus 12%. Melee unit, last rate and paralysis on all of her attacks except her Nash string, but you know, you'll be using her strong attacks. Just damage to last rated enemies 40%. Berserker and Devastation both at 40%. Havoc 20%. Frenzy +1. And the increased status element chance against hard attribute enemies. Increased mind attribute character strong attack damage 20%, and a status element spiritual pressure boost 80%. I chose to include this unit because I think she should be pretty good. The damage to last rated enemies on top of, you know, the spiritual pressure boost, and this increased strong attack damage 20% would be useful in my opinion. So yeah, she's pretty old, but she'll still be able to do something. Alright, so we took a look at some of the characters you can use for this limit break request. I just went on ahead and made my team here. So my team is going to be the Safui Toshiro here. Here is his build. And the character links are just going to be some strong attack reduction and full stamina damage boost links. My Toshiro is Max Transcendent. His bonus abilities are going to be the full stamina damage boost and the plus 200 SP. These bonus abilities will be the same on all 3 units. My Azashiro here is his build. I just went with some strong attack reduction and full stamina damage boost links. This Kenpachi is not a full stamina damage boost links. I just thought the strong attack reduction would be a bit more helpful just to get his strong attacks back faster. He is also Max Transcendent, and as I mentioned, the bonus abilities will be the same on all characters. And here we have the Lisa. I chose her because I have more dupes in her than the Balgo and Otsuchi. That's who I was going to use, but you know, just the more dupes I have in a unit, the better. She is 3 out of 5, and bonus abilities the same on all 3. So let's go ahead, jump in here and see what we can do. Alright. So obviously I'm going to be missing out on the bonus range damage here in this stage. The Azashiro, he's a ranged unit, so I will have the bonus range damage here. He is immune to the status element, so yeah, I don't think we'll have a problem here. Yeah. It's just that his frenzy is only at +1, unfortunately. The damage to lacerated enemies should be helpful for when we go against those tanky enemies in the Lisa stages. So I think the only one that might give us a problem could be the Toshiro, since we don't have that increased range damage. But we will see. We will have his gauge effect though, that will definitely help out. We'll get that 50% spiritual pressure boost. Try to move through here as fast as possible. Make sure we don't get hit. Oh yeah, we do have to be mindful of stab elements here for sure. Stage 7, 8 is usually when we'll start running into those like extremely tanky enemies, so they should be coming up here soon. Like I said, if you've been summoning on pretty frequently on the banners that's been coming out this year, you should have these units. The best in slot units anyways. Yeah, these enemies are tankier than usual, or am I tripping? No, that's that. I'm missing out on that bonus range damage. Yeah. Yeah, that's unfortunate. That's no good. And I just lost my force down. I'll cut to when I'm finished with these enemies. I won't have you sit here and watch me just attack these bullet sponges. Alright, I highly recommend you take a ranged Soul Reaper killer unit in there, because that was ridiculous. I'm also pretty sure it's accounting for like the Soul Reaper Killer Plus skill. Maybe that's why they were just like extremely tankier than normal. I'm pretty sure, yeah, I think they're characters that have like the Killer Plus skill. These extremely tanky enemies are going to be a lot tankier. So unfortunately, I will not be able to get this many stages done in this Limit Breaker Plus. And it kind of sucks because that means it's forcing you to like summon so you can actually clear these Limit Breaker stages, because if you saw before the cut, we had plenty of time left, but now look at it. I won't be able to finish this. The tanky enemies on the third stages, I mean, there's no like Killer Plus skill for them yet, so we shouldn't have to worry about that. But yeah, unfortunately, I think this is the best I'll probably be able to do with the units I have. The reason I'm killing these enemies a lot faster is because I actually have the range damage bonus. Yeah, and I just straight up died. Alright guys, so that was my Limit Breaker Quest run. Definitely one of the, probably my worst one. I've only managed to clear, it looks like, 8 missions out of the 22 total. So yeah, definitely not my, yeah, this is my worst one for sure. So, but if you have the best in slot characters, then you should be fine. It's unfortunate that they made those extremely tanky enemies even more tankier. I guess they're taking into account for the Killer Plus skill. But anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed. Thank you for watching, and as usual, until next time.